I don't know why I still remember the smell of that morning so clearly. Maybe it's because routine has a strange way of becoming a measurement of what's normal, and the moment something breaks that pattern, everything inside you wakes up. I always make coffee the same way, always hear the same soft hiss of the kettle, and always expect to hear her footsteps coming down the hall while I'm pouring the first cup. It's something small, stupid even, but it always made me feel at home. Maybe that's why, when I realized I hadn't heard her voice in 3 days, something inside me broke long before I admitted it aloud. My wife disappeared 3 days ago. Saying it out loud still feels unreal. The first time I noticed something was wrong was on a Wednesday morning. Her side of the bed was cold. Not empty, cold. Like she had been gone for hours before I even woke up. I remember touching the sheets with the back of my fingers, frowning, telling myself she must have gone out early. But she didn't leave a note. She didn't text. She didn't do anything she normally did. And the thing is, she never, ever acted like that. I tried to convince myself she just needed space, or maybe she'd gone for a walk, or maybe, God knows why, her phone had died. I tried to rationalize every possibility because the alternative was terrifying. People don't just vanish. Not people you love. Not people whose souls feel tied to yours. And yet, she was gone. At first, I didn't panic. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. I told myself to stay calm. But when the hours passed and the sun went down and her spot at the dinner table stayed empty, I knew something was off. I kept pacing through the house like a ghost, waiting to hear the door open. Waiting to hear her laugh and say, "I'm sorry, I lost track of time." Waiting for anything that made sense. But what I found instead were little details that made my stomach twist. Her favorite jacket was missing from the closet. The red one I bought her last anniversary. Her wedding ring wasn't on the nightstand. She sometimes took it off when she showered, but never when she left the house. And then, the one thing that still haunts me. Her perfume. The bottle was open on the bathroom counter. She only did that when she was in a hurry or stressed. It was like little parts of her were scattered around the house, but the person herself had vanished into thin air. On the second day, I started calling people. Friends, co-workers, her sister. Most of them were as confused as I was. But a few sounded strange. Hesitant. Like they knew something, but didn't want to be the one to tell me. That's when the ugly thoughts started creeping in. Thoughts I didn't want to admit were forming. I kept pushing them away, telling myself I was being paranoid, that stress was messing with my head. But every answer that wasn't really an answer made my insides coil tighter. By the third day, I barely slept. I barely breathed. I'd been driving around the city, checking every place she loved, every cafe, every sunset spot, every corner of our memories. Nothing. It was like she had evaporated. I felt this sickening mix of fear and anger and heartbreak, and none of it made sense. When you love someone, you want them safe. But when they disappear without a word, fear becomes a monster you can't control. I found myself thinking about the early days of our relationship. How she used to leave sticky notes on my mirror with tiny drawings and silly messages. How she'd curl up against me when she was cold and say my heartbeat felt like home. How she'd laugh at the worst jokes, just because she said she liked seeing me smile. She was the kind of person who made everything feel lighter. And now that she was gone, everything felt unbearably heavy. I tried to piece together memories, conversations, anything that could explain her disappearance. But something kept nagging at me, something I didn't want to acknowledge. A week before she disappeared, she had been distant. Distracted. She smiled less, hugged quicker, lingered less in the kitchen while I cooked. She brushed things off when I asked if she was okay. She said she was just tired. But looking back, there was more in her eyes. Something like guilt. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to believe she'd ever do something like that. But the thought kept circling back. The possibility that she wasn't missing. That she had left. And not for something innocent. That maybe, there was someone else. I hated myself for even entertaining it. But fear does that to you. It twists everything you know into something darker. On the third night, exhausted and shaking, I returned home. I remember the silence when I walked through the door. The house felt wrong. Heavier. The air felt thicker, almost warm, like someone had been inside recently. A chill ran up my spine. I dropped my keys on the table, and the moment they clinked against the wood, I knew. Something had changed. There was a faint smell in the air. Not strong, but noticeable. Not hers. Something foreign. Musky. And then I noticed something else. A single shoe near the hallway. One of hers, but placed strangely, like it had been dropped in a hurry. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. I walked deeper into the house, calling her name even though I knew she wouldn't answer. My voice cracked. My hands shook uncontrollably. I felt like a stranger in my own home. When I turned on the light in the living room, I froze. There was something on the floor. At first, I couldn't register what it was. My brain didn't process it. But then I stepped closer, and my heart just stopped. It was her phone. The one that had been off for 3 days. Right next to it was a piece of fabric. Black. Lacy. Something intimate. And the worst part? It wasn't hers. I felt sick. Physically sick. I leaned against the wall, trying to breathe, trying to stay upright. Everything inside me was screaming. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to accept what my eyes were telling me. I knew that smell now. I'd noticed it before. Not often, but enough to recognize it. A cologne. A man's cologne. My mind started spinning. Was she here? Was he here? How long ago? Why was her phone there? Why was that thing on the floor? I kept walking, each step heavier than the last. The house felt suffocating. Like the walls were closing in on me. I looked around the room, searching for more clues, more signs, anything that could explain what was happening. Part of me wanted to run out of the house and never come back. The other part needed to know. I found a glass on the counter. Half full. Lipstick smudged. But not her usual shade. This one was darker. A deep wine color she never wore. My stomach twisted again. I reached for the glass, but my hand trembled too much to hold it. It slipped, fell into the sink, and shattered. The sound echoed through the house like a gunshot, and I staggered back, gripping the counter to keep myself from collapsing. I can't explain the feeling. It was like my entire world was cracking open. Every memory, every moment, every promise suddenly felt fragile and fake. It was as if someone had taken a hammer to the life I thought I had and smashed it into pieces. That was the moment I realized I wasn't breathing. I had to force myself to inhale, to focus, to stay conscious. I walked toward the bedroom, even though everything in me begged me not to. The door was slightly open. I pushed it. The room was dim. The curtains were half drawn. The bed sheets were messy, tangled, but not in a way that suggested sleep. More like they had been pulled, grabbed, clutched. My heart felt like it was being torn apart. And then, on the floor, I saw something that made everything inside me freeze. A wallet. A man's wallet. I knelt down slowly, afraid it would disappear if I touched it. I flipped it open with trembling fingers. That face. I knew that face. Someone she told me not to worry about. Someone she said was just a friend. My throat tightened. My vision blurred. I felt this cold, burning sensation spreading through my chest. I didn't want to believe it. I refused to believe it. But the evidence was everywhere. In the air. On the bed. On the floor. In the silence that screamed louder than any words. I stood there, staring at the wallet, at the mess, at the life that suddenly felt like a lie. I wanted to scream. I wanted to destroy everything in the room. But all I did was stand there, frozen, trembling, barely able to stay upright. And then, as if the universe wanted to twist the knife deeper, I heard something. A soft vibration. Her phone. The screen lit up. A message. From him. My heart shattered. And in that moment, I knew my life had just ended. I remember staring at that message like time had stopped. The screen glowed softly in the dim room, but it felt like a spotlight exposing everything I didn't want to see. His name. His words. The casual tone. It was as if the phone itself mocked me, whispering that everything I believed about my marriage was nothing but a fragile illusion. I didn't open the message. I couldn't. My hands were shaking so violently that I nearly dropped the phone. I set it on the bed instead, like it was something poisonous I couldn't bear to hold. I kept thinking the same thing over and over, I need to breathe. But it felt impossible. My chest was tight, my head pounding, my throat constricting. I pressed my palms to my face and stood there for what felt like ages, trying not to collapse under the weight of everything. I didn't know what hurt more, the thought of her being with someone else, or the fact that she had lied to me so effortlessly. I felt stupid. Invisible. Replaceable. Eventually, anger pushed through the numbness. It wasn't loud. It wasn't explosive. It was cold. Controlled. The kind of anger that settles deep inside your bones and makes you see everything differently. I wanted answers. I wanted to know why she did this, why she walked out without explanation, why she left me drowning in uncertainty for 3 long days. I needed the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I grabbed the wallet again. I stared at his picture, memorizing his smug face, the stupid half-smirk he always seemed to have. I remembered the one time I met him, briefly, awkwardly, uncomfortably. She had introduced him with a casual smile. "Just a friend," she said. "We work together sometimes." I remember thinking he looked at her for a little too long. And she avoided my eyes a little too quickly. But I brushed it off. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You trust them even when something inside you whispers not to. I slipped the wallet into my pocket. I don't know why. Maybe I needed physical proof that this nightmare was real. Maybe I wanted something to confront them with. Or maybe I just wanted to keep it close so I wouldn't forget how betrayal feels when you're standing in your own bedroom, surrounded by the ghost of someone you thought you knew. I left the house, slamming the door behind me. The cold night air hit me like a splash of ice water. My heart kept racing, my thoughts spiraling. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove. Through empty streets, past dark houses, across bridges and intersections that blurred together. My mind replayed memories of her, the way she'd brush her hair behind her ear when she was nervous, the soft curve of her smile when she thought I wasn't looking, the warmth of her hand in mine. And then, cutting through all of that, images of her with him. Her laughing with him. Her touching him. Her trusting him enough to disappear without telling me. At some point during that endless drive, I realized where I needed to go. Her sister. She had sounded strange when I called earlier. Nervous. Like she was holding something back. If anyone knew the truth, it would be her. When I arrived, she opened the door slowly, eyes wide, as if she had been expecting me and dreading it at the same time. She didn't even try to hide it. "You found out," she whispered. I didn't say anything. I didn't trust my voice. She stepped aside and let me in. The living room was dimly lit, and the silence between us was thick with tension. She sat on the couch, her hands trembling slightly. I stood across from her, arms crossed, jaw clenched so tightly it hurt. "She told you something, didn't she?" I finally said, my voice colder than I intended. She swallowed hard. "I didn't know everything. I swear. I only knew she was struggling." "Struggling with what?" I snapped. Her sister looked down, her voice barely above a whisper. "With feelings she didn't want to have." That sentence cut me open. I paced the room, fingers pressed against my temples. "So she loved him," I muttered. "That's what you're telling me." "No," she said quickly. "No, that's not it. She didn't love him. She was confused. Scared. She didn't know how to tell you." 3 days, I said bitterly. 3 days of disappearing. No message. No explanation. That's not confusion. That's a choice. Her sister flinched at my words. And for a moment, guilt pricked at me. I wasn't angry at her, but she was the only person in front of me. The only one I could lash out at without falling apart. "She made a mistake," she said softly. "A mistake?" I laughed, but there was nothing humorous about the sound. "She lied to me. She left me. She let me think she was missing or hurt or dead. That's not a mistake. That's betrayal." Her sister looked away, tears welling in her eyes. "She didn't disappear because of him." That made me stop. "What?" I whispered. "She disappeared because she was ashamed," her sister said. "Because something happened. Something she didn't plan. Something she didn't want. She was terrified to tell you." My heart was pounding again, but for a different reason. Something didn't make sense. "What happened?" I asked. Her sister hesitated. I promised her I wouldn't. I slammed my hand against the wall. "I deserve to know." She jumped. Took a shaky breath. And then she finally said it. "He kissed her." I froze. "She didn't cheat on you," her sister continued, tears streaming down her face now. "He kissed her. And she pushed him away. Immediately. She left. She told him never to speak to her again. She was shaking when she told me. She said she felt disgusted, guilty, terrified that you would hate her even though she didn't do anything. She didn't disappear to be with him. She disappeared because she didn't know how to face you." My hands fell to my sides. My knees weakened. I had to sit down before I collapsed. "She didn't answer your calls," her sister continued, "because she was scared you'd hear it in her voice. She left her phone here because she couldn't stand seeing his name pop up. She stayed with a friend these last 3 days. Trying to calm down. Trying to figure out how to tell you the truth. I couldn't process it. I couldn't breathe. Everything inside me twisted painfully. She didn't cheat. She wasn't with him. But she hid it. She left. She ran. And she let me drown in fear. I thought," my voice cracked. "I thought she betrayed me." Her sister wiped her eyes. "She thought you'd think exactly that. And that's why she disappeared." I leaned forward, hands covering my face. I didn't know what to think. Part of me felt relieved. Part of me felt even more shattered. Because the pain didn't disappear just because the story was different. It still hurt. Deeply. In ways I didn't know how to describe. Her sister placed a hand on my shoulder. "She wants to talk to you." My chest tightened. "Where is she?" Her sister hesitated. "She asked me to call her when you were ready." My voice shook. "Call her." She dialed. I listened to the rings. I felt like I was standing on the edge of something life-changing. The line clicked. Her voice. Soft. Broken. "Is he there?" she whispered. I felt something inside me crack again at the sound of her. Yes, her sister said. There was silence. Then, can I talk to him? Her sister handed me the phone. For a moment, I couldn't speak. I just listened to her breathe. Slow. Nervous. Fragile. Like she was as afraid of me as I was of losing her. I finally said her name. She started crying. I'm sorry, she sobbed. Please, please don't hang up. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want you to think I... Where are you? I cut in, my voice trembling. She gave me an address. A quiet street on the other side of town. I stood up immediately. I'm coming, I said. Please, she whispered. Please just let me explain. I didn't answer. I hung up the phone gently and walked to the door. Her sister didn't stop me. She just whispered, go slowly. She's not okay. Neither was I. I drove through the night with my heart in my throat. Every mile felt like a lifetime. Every thought felt like a storm colliding inside my skull. When I reached the address, I saw her through the window, sitting on a couch, hugging her knees, hair tied messily, face buried in her hands. She looked small. Fragile. Human. She looked like someone who had been fighting a battle alone. I knocked. She lifted her head. When she saw me, her whole body tensed. She hesitated before walking to the door. When she opened it, we just stood there, staring at each other. Neither of us spoke. Her eyes were red, swollen, full of fear and love and shame all tangled together. I stepped inside. She closed the door behind me. The silence between us was so heavy I could feel it pressing against my chest. I didn't cheat on you, she whispered. I closed my eyes. Then why did you disappear? She started crying again. Because I thought you'd leave me. I opened my eyes. For something you didn't do. She nodded helplessly. It doesn't matter. I let him get too close. I didn't see it. I should have. When he kissed me, I felt sick. I pushed him away immediately, but the guilt, God, the guilt was drowning me. I thought you'd look at me differently. I thought you'd see me as tainted. I didn't know how to explain it without sounding like I led him on. And I thought if I told you, everything would crumble. I took a slow breath. Everything did crumble. Because you left. She covered her mouth with her hands as tears streamed down her cheeks. I know. I know I hurt you. I just didn't want to see the disappointment in your eyes. I stayed here. I turned off my phone. I tried to write down how to tell you, but every time I tried, I panicked. I took a hesitant step closer. She didn't move away. Her eyes searched mine desperately. I thought you loved him, I whispered. I don't, she said immediately. I love you. Only you. I made a mistake by not telling you. But I didn't betray you. I swear to you. Her voice broke. Please believe me. I felt something inside me soften, not completely, but enough to feel like I could breathe again. I sat down. She sat beside me, but not too close, like she was afraid to invade my space. For the next hour, she told me everything. Her version. Her fear. Her guilt. The panic attack she had when she tried to call me. The nightmares she'd been having. The shame that ate her alive. I listened. Not because I wasn't hurt. But because I needed to understand. By the time she finished, she was trembling. I reached for her hand almost instinctively. She flinched, not out of rejection, but as if she didn't think she deserved my touch. Her voice cracked. Do you still want me? I lifted her chin gently so she could look at me. I'm hurt, I said. But I'm here. She broke down completely, leaning into me, sobbing into my chest. And for the first time in 3 days, I held her. She felt real. Warm. Alive. We talked until the sun began to rise. Soft light spilled through the curtains, washing the room in pale gold. She looked at me with cautious hope, like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to smile. I brushed a tear from her cheek. "We have a lot to fix," I said. "But, we can try." She nodded, eyes shining. "I'll do anything." And in that quiet morning, in that fragile moment, I realized something. Love doesn't break because of one mistake. It breaks when people stop trying. But she was trying. And so was I. As we walked out into the early light, her fingers slipped between mine, hesitant at first, then firmer. Familiar. I didn't know what the future looked like, but at least we were facing it together. And sometimes, surviving the truth hurts more than the lie ever could. But healing begins the moment both hearts finally stop running.